Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Professor Marston and the Wonder Women. Telling the origin of how the most iconic female superhero ever came to be sounds like the stuff of documentary. So going into this live-action adaptation of Professor Marston and his inspiration behind creating this iconic female, I had trepidations. I thought the trailers looked alright, looked a little bit sensational, and I wondered, in this type of setting, would they be able to tell this story and how were they going to do it? Thankfully, they did it expertly because I loved this movie. So let's go ahead and jump in to the positives. The first big positive for me, the script. I think this is the strongest script put to screen so far in 2017. I thought the dialogue was all snappy and witty, but also realistic. It always felt like actual conversation. But the writing was just so good in this movie. But also, the way that the script was formulated was beautiful. So big props to the screenwriters. They created interesting, rich, developed characters, in addition to writing some of the best dialogue we've had so far this year. I really do think this is the strongest script to screen this year so far. I also think these are some of the best acting performances put to screen so far. In particular, Rebecca Hall. Oh my gosh, she was so good in this movie. And what makes her so good is that she plays probably the most straightforward of the characters of our main three. But she adds so much to this character. She says so much without speaking a word. And even when she is speaking, she says so much behind those words. I really think this was a fantastic performance. I think Bella Heathcote was also really, really good in this movie. She also added so much depth into her role, and I think it's fitting that these two actresses really provide the powerhouse performances of the film. Luke Evans is also really strong here. I think this is one of the best performances he has given in his entire career. I just think that his performance didn't require quite as much nuance and depth as the other two, but he is also very, very good. And everyone's good. I love Connie Britton, and I think she is fabulous in the small role she has. Just fantastic acting from this cast, A to Z. All wonderful. Also, the directing here was really, really solid. Angela Robinson is our director. I loved the way that she intercut the Wonder Woman comic book and the direct themes from the actual pages of the original Wonder Woman comics with the themes as they played out. You saw the exact symbolism, you saw the exact inspiration from his actual life unfolding in the comic book page, and I thought that was so amazing. I also thought she handled a very difficult subject very well, and turned what could have been a very controversial type subject into something that a lot of us could identify with and a lot of us could relate to, thus opening the doors to understanding and opening up the doors to accepting this story and not just kind of like shunning it or judging it. It felt so real and so authentic. And that's the thing that I think the trailers kind of missed. This isn't a sexy polyamorous story. This is a love story. And it is a love story about these three people, but it's also a love story with Marston and Wonder Woman, both on the page and Wonder Woman in real life. And I thought that was so beautifully executed and put to screen. And the relationship that was put to screen here felt real. It felt authentic. The love between all three of the people felt real and felt authentic. This isn't a situation of sister wives. This isn't a situation of one man kind of just taking in as many women as he can into the fold. This is about three people and their interconnected relationship to the other two involved in this situation. And in turn, it showed how much Professor Marston respected women and respected these two women in particular, and how that played out in this relationship. It wasn't kind of the typical one male, multiple women type of scenario we come to think of. It was so much more than that. Plus, I loved the way they played with power dynamics within relationships and power dynamics within the gender roles here in this film, both in society and within interpersonal relationships. And again, how those gender roles and power dynamics within Professor Marston's own life shaped who he was and shaped how he created Wonder Woman. I thought it was just so good. As for negatives on the film, I actually don't think there are many. But if I'm nitpicking, I think that maybe it felt a little bit abbreviated. I think we skipped time because we're covering a pretty vast amount of time. But it does have the central focus of this unusual relationship. But we have to skip forward in time quite often throughout. And I think the big part where that was missing was the development of the relationship. I think kind of skipped over it a bit. Or there's a fiance here who's like, I'm going to fight for my girl. And then we don't really see that followed through anywhere. And then my only other kind of negative-ish is that I don't know that this is a film for everyone. I think that they did such a beautiful job of opening up this story that is still taboo or still kind of odd to a lot of mainstream moviegoers. And I think they did a wonderful, fabulous job of making it relatable. But that comes with the caveat of I'm someone who is very open-minded, and when it comes to consensual adults, what you do is what you do. The way you live your life is the way you live your life, and who am I to judge what you find pleasurable, what your normal is? I'm no one to judge that. As long as everybody's a consenting human adult here, I'm nobody to judge, and I'm nobody to tell you what's normal, what's not normal, what you should and shouldn't do. But regardless, I think it is going to make everyone look back, especially at some of those early comic books, and see Wonder Woman and her creation and how far she's developed in a whole new light. Whether this taints the character of Wonder Woman for some people who aren't so open-minded to what they see in the film, or it just adds another layer of psychology behind what Wonder Woman was created to represent and what those early comics were about. It really adds so many layers to this iconic woman's backstory. And I think it was just fantastically done. This is one of my favorite films of the year so far. I know I've been saying that a lot lately, but wow, there are so many good ones coming out. And this is the next in line of the really, really good films to be released in 2017. So I definitely give Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman a full price ticket. I think this movie is fantastic and deserves a full price ticket. So that has been my review of Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Professor Marston? And what is your favorite fictional character origin story? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!